Guys, let's try this again. Can you guys hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Anybody? Okay. I'm assuming we're good. So let's start over. We're only 2 minutes into this. First of all, I want to thank you guys for showing up. We have about 11 right now, and I think that's probably why people dropped off. So if you're still with us after the fact watching this replay, thank you for hanging with us, and we fixed the problem. I was messing with my mic before this live stream, and apparently the mute button was hit, so I apologize for that. So if you are joining us live, thank you for joining us. Certainly leave your questions and comments in the live chat here, and either myself or other viewers will answer your question if we can get to it. Want to try to keep this all within an hour if I can. If you want to support the program or the channel, you can certainly do super stickers or super chats. That's always appreciated. And if you're watching this after the fact, go ahead and leave your comments down below, and either myself or someone else will try to get back to your questions that you might have. So this weekend was a pretty busy weekend for us. We had family over, grandkids over, and as you can imagine, that's a lot of energy and time away from eBay. And a lot of times I'll work 6-7 days a week. So I took this weekend off and didn't really do a whole lot of anything related to eBay or YouTube or anything like that, except I did a 60-second shorts video. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about motivation because, coming away from the fun with the family and, getting back to work sometimes can be hard to get motivated, and especially when you're not getting a lot of sales. And my sales are down, I'd say about 20%, 25%. Not quite a cause for alarm just yet. Don't know how you guys are doing. Put in the chat or comment down below how you guys are doing. I'm curious to see in January how you fared with your sales. I gotta say that, while my sales are down, I'm more concerned with the lack of sourcing that I see. Normally, this time of year is the best time of year to source, and at least with liquidation is concerned. And a lot of the places that I'm used to seeing a lot of merchandise this time of year from the Christmas holiday returns, it's really not there. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe slow in processing, low staffing. I don't know. But let me know if you've encountered anything like that. Want to say hi to Ed, the reselling writer, Monster Loon, Winter Crow, Douglas Kent, Felix Soto, Shanna Anhalt, Sam Forsland. You guys are all with us right now. Thank you for being here. We have about 20 people watching. We'll get up to about 40, 45 people at one point. Or maybe even more, hopefully. But Ed, the reselling writer, says, "Hey, John, as always, great to see you live. Thank you for joining me. Again, another one of those impromptu live streams where I want to be really more active with YouTube than I was last year, and attempt to try to get something out every day, Monday through Friday at least. And I've done that the last couple of weeks, and it's not easy, just trying to get the content to you guys. So I didn't really have a whole lot lined up today, so I thought maybe answering your questions in a live stream might work. Hit that like button. It helps. It does help the channel a lot. Please hit that like button. And if you don't like me, hit the dislike button. That also helps as well. Winter Crow, early to the party. Good evening, all. How you doing? And you're in North Carolina, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken. Douglas Kent, glad to see eBay sales finally picked up this weekend. I'm glad it picked up for you. I had, a mediocre yesterday, kind of picked up about a $300 sales day, but my goal has always been about $500 in sales. And I can tell you that over the last 30 days, I've come close on some days, but nowhere near it. And like I said, it's not a cause for concern yet. It just makes me work harder. And I think, when we're dealing with motivation, sort of like what happened to me in the summer sales just were bad last year. And it just caused me to get out there and list more and more. And of course, when the sales came back in September, there's more items for my buyers to buy, and my sales were pretty good. So, um, thank you guys for joining. And again, I apologize for the audio problems. And unmute yourself before you wreck yourself. Yeah, I agree. I try not to wreck myself when I can. Let's see. We have the Tommy Bernhardt podcast. Sales are amazing. Tommy, what are you selling? What kind of items do you sell specifically? Would be nice to know. And do you source thrift, yard sale? What sourcing method do you use? That's something I'd like to know. And that's for anyone out there who is doing well right now. What kind of items are you selling? Of course, we don't want to know your sources and where you're getting the stuff. I realize that's the last thing you'd want to give up, but just to give us some kind of an idea would be nice. Ed says, my sales are down too, but that's because I haven't been active. I've been more focused on organizing my inventory, getting rid of old inventory. Prices have gone up, sadly. And I've noticed that too. But it's for me, I've been expecting the prices to go up, but it's the lack of merchandise this time of year from Christmas holiday sales that I'm not seeing on a lot of the same sites that I'm used to sourcing from. It's just not very good, to be honest with you. Things were very sporadic in January, but I'm trying a few new things and seems to be working. And that's really all you can do. This year, been doing if I come across listings that are about to end within the next day, I'll go in and do the sell similar technique where you change the photo, change the title, if necessary, change the price. I then add offers, actually best offer to my listings, and I'll up my promoted percentage to what eBay recommends just for those listings and then relaunch them. Because really at that point, I'm trying to get that merchandise moved. And in my eyes, I have just too many items that are just sitting around that have been in my store. So I want to if I can move them for whatever I can, someone makes me an offer, then I'm happy to do it. We have Io Rhino. What's up? How are you doing, Io? Katya 007. Buyer doesn't pick up her package after she was notified twice by the Postal Service and once by me. She ignores them. Am I out of money if she files a chargeback? Well, no, you're not necessarily out of money if she files a chargeback, because I'm assuming that she has her item at the post office because she has a PO box, or maybe a required signature that you've required her to go in and pick up her package. From what I understand, that will show up as a delivery in eBay's eyes on the USPS site, and that counts for a delivery. And if she files a chargeback, you can certainly provide all those details. And I know eBay only gives you the opportunity to provide a photo, but you want to make a Word document, one-page Word document explaining all the facts, and go in and do a screenshot and then upload that as the photo eBay is looking for. That has worked on a number of occasions from people who have followed that advice. And knock on wood, I have not lost a chargeback yet using that method. But just stick with the facts. If it shows as a delivered scan, then that's all you're required to do as an eBay seller. Jenna, my awesome wife, she says, hey, Flippin' fam, I hope you're all doing well. Virtual hug. Live chats like this get me motivated. And you know what? Certainly keep working in the background while this goes on if you don't have any questions. But certainly I usually like to play these kind of things in the background while I'm working or shipping or whatever I'm doing. eBay has been off the charts great. So that's good to see, Kent. What type of items are you selling? From what I've heard, eBay Motors is selling really well right now because they're getting a lot of category specific commercials. that are being put out there by eBay, and that's good. I'd like to see eBay, and maybe I just haven't heard any, but I'd like to see some commercials on TV or on the radio, just in general for eBay. That'd be great. You're a great motivator, John. I've changed my content a bit thanks to you, and I've seen very positive results. I don't know if you've been my tax one, but of course, I credit you for the information. Well, thanks, Ed. And Ed has a channel also on YouTube. Go ahead and check him out, of course, after this video. And he's an up and coming YouTuber, does eBay, a lot of the stuff that I do. And I like to shout out new channels because you know what? I relied on the Crazy New York Driver Show, Joe DeMarco. He shouted my channel out when he didn't have to, and that helped out a lot. So certainly pass that on. Finn's fan, good to see you, bro. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. Appreciate that. Throw some of that my way. Yeah, we want to know, Kent, what are you selling? Would be good to know. I've seen a lot of store reviews. People ask me to look at their store. They're struggling, and it seems like the store reviews that people ask me to look at, a lot of them are collectibles, and which is understandable. I don't think a lot of people right now have extra just spending money. You know, we're out about yesterday at a concert with the family. Went to a Kane Brown concert, and you know, we're at the casino at dinner, and it just didn't feel like to me. It didn't feel like a Saturday at all, and I just don't think people have extra money to be spending. The Monster Loon. I got my first scam the other day. Buyer accepted my offer, didn't pay. A few days later, messaged me about mailing a money order. Yeah, well, can't accept money orders. I mean, it's certainly one of those things where wait that 4 days, and if they don't pay through eBay's managed payments, then go ahead and just cancel it due to non-payment. And I agree with that statement entirely. I've actually tried to help some people get into reselling, and you can tell after the first week or two that not for them. Some people need to be told by a boss what to do and how to do it. Working a 9 to 5, commuting every day to be able to make their life function. Some people just can't be self-driven, and thankfully I am. I spent a lot of time in management where I had to be self-driven. Otherwise, it wasn't going to work out. So Tommy sells shoes, and you know, Tommy, this time, from what I understand, when I was getting into shoes back in 2019, at least I was trying to at the time, the research I saw showed that shoes usually peak around March, April, and then they peak again in September later in the year. So if I'm right, you know, let me know, or if I'm wrong, let me know. But that's sort of what I understand. So that does make sense that maybe the sales are starting to come around for you. I saw your tax video and smiled all the way through when you mentioned the channel. Yeah, Ed does make some good videos. Now, as far as the tax situation that we were talking about in our videos, that's the $600 California, the 1099 that California residents were receiving. And there was an eBay employee who commented on my video, at least said that it was a mistake that eBay has recognized, and the IRS nor the California Franchise Tax Board did they receive a copy of that. It was just sent to you, the seller. And then I, of course, verified this person worked for eBay by doing a follow-up question, and they told me they did. So it's good to know that eBay employees are watching this channel. I don't know if they're just individual employees watching the channel, or channels like this, but it's a good way. Your comments, this interaction right now, if eBay's watching, is a good way to get your feedback about eBay out there. And that includes this whole $600 issue. Now, I know that eBay doesn't have any say-so when it comes to the reporting requirements for federal, but you know, none of us were expecting to receive a 1099 for 2021. And if you receive one and weren't expecting one, you're going to be pretty Excuse me, pretty shocked. Kent says shoes, hats, and clothing is what he sells. And he also says stick to the basics. I agree. I agree with that. Ed does shoes. Now, it shows, like, for instance, Ed says his sales are a little bit down, but he hasn't been putting a lot of the time that I'm sure Kent and Tommy have been putting in. And it just shows you it's a good point that you got to be consistent. Consistency is key. You have to play within eBay's rules and play the eBay algorithm, and eBay is always looking for you to be consistent. And what I try to do is, and I'm getting slow sales, but I mean, if I didn't do this, I'm sure I would get next to none. I'm always listing, I'm always creating drafts that I can launch. Let's say over this last weekend when I wasn't putting time into eBay, I can simply launch some drafts and at least satisfy eBay from that point of view. And I was talking to Jenna. I'm putting a lot of listings out there, but the actual quality of merchandise that I'm putting out there isn't where I want to be. I'm putting $20, $25 items out, and I want to be up to the $50, $100, $150 items. Get my average cost of average final value cost or price up there about $40 if I can. Let's see. Douglas says, I do rare or signed or first edition books, and the sell similar trick really kicked up sales this week, including a few that I've had for a year. And I'm always doing that. That sell similar. I'll probably have about 4 or 5 on average per day that I'm just relaunching. Winter Crow says, selling collectibles, curious, weird stuff, and occasional vintage clothing. And Ed says, what's your opinion on eBay for Business now doing the verification process now instead of just your name, email, and zip code like before? If you're used to them asking for it, then it shouldn't be any different. It's just if you're not expecting them to give you a verification authentication request immediately, you may not see it until you go back and check to see if they answered you. But it just shows that some people apparently they're doing it for some reason. They had to invest money into changing it to that. And maybe people are going on to eBay for Business asking information about an account that's not theirs. I don't know. But every time, at least over the last year, when I check with eBay for Business, they always ask me for my zip code, the account, email, sensitive information that most people wouldn't have about my account. And that seemed to do the trick. So I don't know. Maybe their employees who are manning the eBay for Business weren't all on board with asking the sellers for that information as they should have been in the first place. I find that in the corporate world, a lot of policies were created as a reactionary thing. Maybe one employee didn't do it right or do it at all, and it caused them to go in and implement something like that. Will Howard, I'm selling most of the electronics, which is my bread and butter. My number of sales are relatively unchanged for last year, but I'm sourcing higher end items, big risk and better returns. Yeah, and that's the thing. I've always said that sourcing is the name of the game, and that's why, I can sit here and make up all the excuses in the world for myself, but I got to tell you, it is definitely most of my issue right now is the lack of good sourcing. And you might be in the part of the country where you have suppliers that are near you. You might have a good relationship with a couple different places, and that's right now my downfall. And really struggling with that. And once I fix that, I think things are going to get better. But until I do, it's just going to be a problem for me. And that's why it's so important not to rely on the same 2 or 3 vendors. Always have multiple, like 5 to 10 if you can, different options where if the 2 or 3 you're used to dealing with aren't working out for you, you have other places to go. And I always try to source locally, and I think that's part of the problem too. Gail Carson says, hello, John. Nice to see you in another live session. Thanks, Gail, for showing up. I appreciate that. Ed, the Reselling Writer says, I can't work when you're live. I'm more interested in the chat. And, I kind of chalk this up when you're interacting into a live stream chat. like this, and you can interact with other sellers. It's sort of a training time that you give yourself. You can learn from other people. Certainly, there's a lot of good sellers in this particular live chat right now. That if I don't have the answer, certainly I'm sure they will. That's for sure. Let's see. The Monster Loon says 6,000 feedback. I guess they're talking about another seller out there, so I'll let them do that. Will Howard says inventory is scarce right now. I'm a bit concerned. Don't get me wrong. There's a bunch of horse manure out there, and it's funny. I had a few different people comment on some of my liquid. I made a liquidation video late last week, and a lot of commenters saying that they stick with yard sales and thrift stores, and they don't do the liquidation gig because liquidation is usually just trash, or they lose money. And I would say that is true if you're not focused on the items that you're buying. I mean, it's just like people are blindly buying pallets and expecting to make money, and it doesn't work that way. You have to really do your homework, and you gain that experience. Just like if you go to a yard sale, you know what to look for. Same thing with the liquidation pallet. You gain that experience by knowing what has worked for you in the past, and looking for those same items, especially when it's not manifested. Sadly, there aren't any general eBay commercials, just the eBay motors and high-end sneakers. And that's a sad thing. I know that eBay has been trying to, over the last year plus, to focus on certain niches. And that's fine if you're selling in those categories, but it almost, it almost makes eBay feel like it's niching out, and the other 90% of us that are selling stuff that they're not advertising is not really even discussed. Let's see. Mark says, agreed, John, not selling a lot of collectibles right now. And a lot of times there's nothing wrong with the stores. They're doing the basics, have good photos, backgrounds, good titles. In my opinion, from someone who doesn't sell a lot of collectibles, the prices seem fair. And it only tells me so many people are struggling in that particular category that it has to be because of just an economy issue. Cumberland Carpet Care says, does eBay count your store by listing or items? I'm not sure what that means. Are you actually looking at getting an eBay store? Please reword your question. I'll be glad to answer it if you do. The Outlaw Hustler, John, do you believe the watchers eBay say we have to be fake? Reason being, went to my items watching list and saw a bunch of items that I never selected to watch. I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, you guys out there who actually know the answer to this, because I've been wondering that myself. And I think that if you browse enough, or bring up enough, let's say you're searching for an item to list, for instance, and you're searching through, and that's an impression for that particular seller. Maybe you click on the item to see if you're going to sell one similar, and that may, after some activity, eBay might automatically count you as a watcher. That's just a guess, and I don't like guessing on this channel, but I'm hopeful that somebody out there knows the actual answer. But if I had to give you an answer, if a gun was to my head, that's kind of what I would say. Winter Crow says, I can't watch Crazy New York Driver anymore. It does complain about the weather every episode. Yeah, and I got on Joe about that. He lives in a place where he's lived all of his life, and it shouldn't be a surprise that the weather is so cold and overcast. And when you rely on taking your photos through with a sunny day and that type of thing, you have to improvise. So I just think that's his stick. It's something that he does in his video, and that's just what he does. Thought that's what I needed. I'm not sure if this is an actual conversation on a sidebar conversation, but amazing what reselling can make you realize about the corporate world. And the corporate world, I almost wish that I did this eBay gig 10 years ago. I I just kind of look back at my time, and it's experience that I'm grateful to have, actually running departments and dealing with the corporate side of things. You begin to realize things that, I sold for eBay for many years before I was in management. And I didn't really have that same perspective that I have now with just corporate. I would be one of the sellers out there that would demand, it would want to have, eBay change this and change that and not have any idea why they're not. But I do understand why eBay doesn't make the changes that we're asking them for, especially when a lot of these changes don't make them much money at all over and above what they're already making. And they have to be able to justify why they're spending millions of dollars to upgrade their systems and make change to their system when they're not getting a whole lot of money back for that investment. Yeah, Joe is very informative. He does have contacts with eBay, and he does definitely reach out, and he does meet with them as well. So it's good to have someone that you can watch and turn to that will have that information. Austin got his cheese board. Awesome. Glad you enjoy it. Have a few crackers for me. Ricardo says 2021 was a record sales year. So far in 2022, my sales are up 4% when compared to 2021, even with the eBay hurdles. That's awesome. That's awesome. See, that motivates me. That makes me feel like, what I've been telling you, that a lot of my problems are my own. And so I'm not going to come out here belly aching about slow sales. And, I'll tell you about them, but I'm going to be the first to admit that, I can do better. And that motivates me. I'm glad to see that you're doing well. What type of items are you selling, Ricardo? I'm really appreciate. I would like to know what you're selling. Ed, the reselling writer, has your normal sourcing spot been going down on quality? I would say, yeah, that's why I'm not buying these pallets. You see, the same sellers are putting out stuff that I would not normally buy in the past, and I'm not going to invest my money in something that's going to maybe be a break even or make me a little bit of money. I'm still interested in making, at minimum, double my money, and that's in my opinion, a bad pallet. And I'm not going to go in and buy something that's worse than that because I need merchandise. And then what'll happen is you have a lot of stuff you don't even want to sell because it's not going to, make you any money. And that's the most demoralizing thing is, having to sell something that is not going to move, and spending the time to get it listed is, you'd rather just do something else. Shoes I sell in my shop, very weird ones. Men's Cellini or Brutini, all colors, snake skins. They sell to rockabilly fans. I don't know who rockabilly is, I'm sorry to say. Tommy says, not all shoes are created equal. List basic Nike and Adidas like every other seller and get a permanent seat in the struggle bus. So you're looking for unique brands, I take it. Felix says, my sales are fine, but like you, I'm tired of making the $5 to $20 per item. But at the same time, I'm sick and tired of selling $80 to $200 profit only for buyers to ask for a return. Yeah, and it sucks when you sell that $200 item, a week passes, maybe 2 weeks pass. You think, okay, they must be satisfied with the item, and then here comes that return request. Knock on wood, I haven't had a lot of return requests lately, but if you watched my videos in the past, I made a video that pretty much says if you're getting returns, then you're selling, you're making good sales. And the fact that I'm not getting returns is a symptom of the fact that my sales are down. And Jenna says, I see this as a team meeting. So she also worked at the company I work for, and we would pull our employees off the floor, what we called it, to have a meeting and to go over stuff. And she compares this to being in a team meeting. But of course, the difference is I'm no boss to nobody but myself. So this is more of just maybe a workshop, I would say, more than anything else. Let's see. Sourcing. People give me things for my shop, DVDs, clothes, collectibles, which often have stuff I put online, some good shop Goodwill, then it's a steal. That's good to be able to have that type of sourcing. That's for sure. I agree with Kent right here. One Super Bowl commercial will bring in, well, maybe not billions, but millions of new sales. That's for sure. We're reliant on the fact that people know that eBay is out there, but you have, every generation that comes along, they have their own thing, and if eBay isn't marketed to them, it's going to be a forgotten site. Now, I'm hopeful that the sales are continuing to be strong, and it's just me. That means that if I do better, I will see a difference, regardless if there's a Super Bowl commercial or not. Will says, "Stay away from bulk liquidation unless you're extremely sure about what you're buying. Check your comps." Yeah, and I fell into that trap back in 2018. I bought a pallet. And it was just maybe one or two items in there that were pretty good. It allowed me to make my money back. The other stuff, it's one of those things where they top load it with maybe $100, $200 item, and then $5 to $10 items. And I challenge anyone to show me a store that is a profitable eBay store, just sourcing with bulk. It's, in my opinion, I don't know why eBay even signed up to promote bulk. Had been a lot of money involved, but from my experience and my opinion, bulk is one of the last places you want to even look to source. Io says, "Why would eBay promote sellers who sell secondhand clothes like from Goodwill?" Um, you know, in my opinion, now I guess I'm not sure if that's you're referring to, say, bulk.com. I'm not sure if they do Goodwill. They source from a lot of different vendors, but the short answer to that question is it's the same reason why eBay would promote the sellers from overseas in China that sell the knockoff stuff. Ship the stuff for 50 cents to $1, where it costs us, an arm and a leg to ship. They're making money. There's a lot of people buying that stuff, and as long as people are still buying that stuff, eBay is going to promote it. Every sale eBay gets money off of, and so eBay is going to continue promoting the stuff that sells. For 1099 purposes, I add up item cost, shipping, tax, final value fee, 30-cent selling fee. I add all that together for the item cost before I start deducting. Well, your 1099 is simply what you sold on eBay. So they're going to send you a 1099 at the end of the year, provided that you meet the criteria to get one. And so when you're reporting, and even if you don't have a 1099, you should be reporting what you sell, but that's your sales. So you're then going to deduct your cost of goods, how much that item cost you to buy in order to resell it. Okay, your eBay fees, which includes that 30-cent fee per item that they tack on, your shipping. Taxes are something that eBay would deduct from that number. So as far as tax is concerned, that's not reported as an earning. That is not in that equation. So you're going to take, and so like I bought that desk behind me for shipping. You may buy various supplies. You're going to put that in there as well. Any programs you use, like for instance, like if you drive around to pick up your goods, let's say you're going from this thrift store to that yard sale, a program like Everlast, an app on your phone that maybe runs like $10 a month to track your mileage, because your mileage is also something you can write off. So there's a lot of different expenses. That's why it's good if you're not quite sure to get a CPA or a tax professional to do your taxes. I just been doing my taxes all my life, and I've all the way, even when I was working full time, reporting the stuff I made on eBay. And of course, at the time, PayPal was sending out that information, and it's just something that I've been able to do. And I would say for most of you, you want to get someone to do your taxes because it does get kind of complicated. Ed says, if you click on the same thing about 3 times, I believe it'll be counted as a watcher for the seller, so they'll be able to send you an offer. And, you could be clicking on it, doing your research, not intending on buying that item at all. And eBay is going to think you're a watcher. You have to click on the watch icon in order to be a watcher on an item. I think, Dan, what people are saying is that they're noticing that they never clicked on anything. Maybe you clicked on it accidentally in the app or something like that. But yeah, it's hard to say. Bermuda 975 says, I badly want to start eBay business, but I'm really scared. Do I need a business license? No, you don't need a business license. You can just be an everyday person that just, puts your stuff up on eBay. Start selling the stuff you already own. Chances are you're going to sell most of the stuff anyway for less than what you bought it for. And that therefore it's not taxable. But, once you start buying stuff in scale, in bulk or liquidation, then you do want to get a selling certificate in your state. They usually cost like $10 to $15, and that allows you to go in and buy the stuff. Let's say you go into a store and you buy, let's say Walmart, and buy all their clearance stuff. It allows you to present them with that certificate, and the manager go in and override everything so that you do not have to pay your state sales tax, because the sales tax is meant for the end user. Whoever is actually ending up with that item is the one that's really supposed to be paying the sales tax. That's the theory behind that. So, if you provide, and I did that all the time when I went buying shoes at Ross and Marshalls a couple years ago when I was in California, a few years ago when I was in California now. It's one of those things where you provide them that certificate. Yeah, they don't like it. They kind of look at you kind of sideways, but they'll go in, they'll do something with their register where you're not being charged that sales tax. And it does make a pretty big difference. The Tommy Bernard podcast. eBay doesn't provide anyone or promote anyone or any store ever unless you're a multi-million-dollar seller and make it to the banner. We promote our items. Yes, you pay to promote your items. And in my opinion, if you're not promoting most items where there's competition, you're making a mistake. You need to be promoting your items in some way. Now, I guess the debate is, what is the best number to promote your items? And some won't even utilize the promoted listings advanced. I've done it on a limited basis, and it seemed to work for the larger ticket items. But I'm just really not trying to pay $5, $10, $20 a day. Creating a budget for that when that's just going to eat into my bottom line every day. Maybe I'm wrong on that. That's kind of how I feel. Dan Frisco, I've never had items show up in my watch list that I did not click in the icon that's become a watcher for that item. Everyone has I don't know if you maybe source this or list the same way. Like what I do is I go in and list off of someone else's sold listing. And of course, sometimes a sold listing will still be an active listing because it's a multiple item listing. And maybe by doing that, eBay chalks you up as a potential buyer. I don't know, but I think that's where it's happening, if anything. Ed says you don't need a license, just make an account and upload your items for sale. As a new seller, you'll be limited, but once you make sales, you'll be good to go. Cumberland carpet store. If I had a listing with 300 of the same items, does eBay count it as one or 300 towards your listing limits? That's one listing, and that's ideal. If you can come up with, one listing that you can have 300 of the same item in it, that's perfect. That's what you're shooting for. In my opinion, that's what we call a replenishable, and that is ideal. If I can find a lot of goods where there's, 2 or 3 of the same, multiples of the same, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Winter Crow, I get emails telling me such and such an item is no longer available when I have only looked at an item once, often for research. Not a watcher, but certainly our moves are recorded. Yeah, and eBay's full of glitches. I had an item in my active. It was already listed. It's been listed for a while, and all of a sudden it popped up in my drafts and was no longer in my active. So it went from an active to a draft. And of course, I had to go back, make sure it wasn't still listed, make sure I still had the item in inventory. And of course, I just launched the draft, but it just didn't make sense. So eBay is full of glitches sometimes, I think. And that may be one of them. Bermuda says, any eBay reseller in Orange County, California area, if I can spend a day or two with somebody, I'll be grateful. Well, yeah, I'm not in California. That's why it's good to network, meet people. Maybe you're out at the bins, or you're sourcing at, your yard sale or thrift store, meet people. And I've met people out here in the Vegas area, and it's good to sort of, collaborate with people, and not necessarily, if I didn't do a YouTube channel, I would still have people to talk eBay with. Dan says, I had a $200 book sale a little while ago, delivered and left positive feedback. Within an hour after I left the feedback, they asked for a return, changed mine. Well, at least they're honest, right? At least they didn't say, it was misrepresented, or the book was the wrong color, or something ridiculous like that. And of course, I find that there's a percentage of the change mind people that realize they have to pay for that shipping label, and they just forget it. And Jenna says, the viewers are a team. You're simply leading the meeting. I'm the only one talking, actually. So, but yeah, I agree with you. Ed, the reselling writer, says, look at the Super Bowl commercial did for Mercari. It blew up. Yeah, it did blow up. And all eBay needs to do is spend, what do they charge for a commercial slot for the Super Bowl? What, 10 million? And that's what eBay has to justify to their shareholders, what kind of growth they're going to get as a result. And that may be why they're not doing it. Rockabilly is a type of music and lifestyle that 50s rock and roll, bowling shirts, vintage Chevys, and sha-na-na. Okay. Interesting. The flipping sports guy, the younger generation won't give a crap about eBay and their one Super Bowl commercial. eBay is for their parents. And, I agree with that to a point. I know that eBay has changed over the years, and a lot of us have kind of balked about it, but the changes that they've made were to try to be a lot like some of these other sites like Poshmark, and, with their SEO, their search engine optimization, to take advantage of some of the things that a lot of these other selling platforms are utilizing. And, I think the bottom line is this: if someone, no matter how old you are, needs an item, are looking for a deal on something, and they're aware that this is just one platform to get it, I don't think it matters to them at all if this was their parents' place to buy stuff. They're still going to return back to it if there's awareness, and that's why they need to get out there and advertise more than eBay Motors and watches and sneakers, as far as I'm concerned. Tommy says they need the Kardashians to get stores. I think they're kind of played out. They've been played out for a while. Perpuccio, games are selling well for me, while Scrabble with the Lazy Susan and local based monopolies always sell. Harder to find ones like Guess What's on Sal's Pouch are the Holy Grails. And from what I understand, a lot of the older board games that people have been sitting on that are in good condition that can't be found anymore are where it's at too. Let's see. Ken says, must be plenty parents buying vintage concert shirts. Yeah, and some of those concert shirts, I don't know if you saw Rally Roots video they put out like a month or two ago. They put those shirts on auction for 99 cents and sold them for hundreds of dollars. It's amazing. Hang in there, man. You know what you're doing, and you know what you need to do. Pallets and liquidation, so find better liquidators. Wish you luck, because we're in the same boat. And from what I remember, you said you're in the Vegas area, right, Felix? So I'm wondering, you're buying liquidation. Are you doing them local, or are you having them shipped to you? That's interesting. Will says, thanks for the live, brother. You're a great inspiration. I'm off to list a couple things. Take care, everyone, and happy listing. Thanks, Will. Keep listing, keep making those sales. Let's see. Ed says, have you had any problems with FedEx? With Mercari increased the price of USPS prepaid label $14.26 from $12. Want to use Smart Post since it's 8 with their label. But smart posts involve FedEx and USPS. That's too many hands on your package, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I would want that. I use UPS ground, and I buy my labels through Pirate Ship. I used to do um, the whole Shippo thing, but I saw no difference between them and Pirate Ship. And to be honest with you, there's many times I'll go in and just use Pirate Ship to mail stuff when I sell on Amazon. So it works well for me. You can use USPS, UPS ground, but UPS ground is, in my opinion, better than FedEx ground. In Canada, when I try to look up comps in several things, it's mostly listings from states for abroad. Very few Canadians selling what I see. Not sure if that's a good thing or bad thing. Well, if you're not finding comps in your area, that just means that you're going to be dealing with less competition. But chances are that buyer is going to find it in the U.S. eBay. You always want to look for things that have lower competition, but don't let that stop you from buying stuff that have high competition, that have high sales. So you can check your solds. When you do the sold check, see what the number is on the upper left that says, and this is when you're on the PC, shows you how many items have sold in the last 90 days. Go back to the unsolds and compare it to how many items are actually being sold to kind of figure all that out. We have Kyle B. My sales were slow last week, only 2 to 3 all week. Then I had 4 sales today. I'm at about 1,000% profit margin. So 4 sales a day is pretty nice. That's awesome. Whenever you can keep your cost of goods low, it gives you a lot of flexibility. Let's say you're not making those sales at the price you want. It gives you a lot of room to move it down to where the market actually is. Dan says, don't use boxes and bags with FedEx. They upcharge handling fees for those due to them gumming up their belts. Yes, they do. And that was behind a series of videos I put out a year and a half ago, 2020 November. And I was wondering, why is FedEx coming back to eBay telling them that I owe more money? And they're charging me double sometimes. Actually, one time they charged me triple. And it turned out that after finally digging for the answer, it's because I have this box, okay? And while I've done everything I can to protect the items on the inside of the box, I feel like it still needs some protection. So, I can go out and buy an expensive box, $1, $2 at Home Depot or U-Haul, or, buy a bunch of boxes to be shipped to my house. Or what I do is I take the bubble wrap that I have back there, and wrap it up really good, that box, and then put it in a poly. And then what I do is, and this works for UPS ground, is that I just tape up the poly bag so it form fits to the box. So it still looks like a box, but it's a padded box in your envelope. You're not trying to pass it off for cubic shipping, on Pirate Ship. That's not how you're supposed to do it. But it is acceptable for UPS ground, and it has allowed me to save money on double boxing items and things like that. So, and I don't get complaints about shipping. People get their item 9 times out of 10 or 95 times out of 100. There's no issue with the item. And that's what we're shooting for. Kyle says, sorry, I'm late. I hope your sales have gotten better. Well, if you're just getting with us, I'm just talking about how my sales are down about 20, 25%. But, this does happen. And it's happened in the past where the really, really good stuff that I'm used to sourcing is just not, hasn't been available to me lately. So you're settling for the stuff that still will sell, but are sort of on the lower scale, lower ticket, like $20 items, $20, $25 items, when I'm used to selling $40, $50, $60, $100 items. So that definitely does impact your bottom line. And until I fix that problem, I'm going to continue to feel it. So that's my goal here coming up, is to fix that. Kyle says, eBay puts some of my items in the first page of the Google keyword search. Yes. And there's some criteria you have to meet. One being your photo. If you have a white background, that's one of the requirements that Google has to show up. But I also believe that you want your item specifics as complete as possible, because that also does help them select your item to be promoted in Google search. Yazay says, no sales in 6 days with eBay in 2 stores. A lot of glitches. So Yaz, what type of items are you selling? I'm curious to know what that is. Dan Frisco says, anyone that uses templates on eBay have issues editing those templates now? Try to make edits and templates and then save, and the spinner just spins like it locks up. Now, I don't know if you're using the older classic lister or the newer one that allows you to upload the videos. But for me, I haven't had that particular issue. I know that before this newer editor that I've been using for the last few weeks, on the classic lister, if you, let's say, start a listing and let's say you get a phone call and you step away for 15, 20 minutes, and then you come back and you go through the whole process of completing the listing, and then you go to launch it, it'll just spin. And of course, while it'll save as your draft, it'll save your changes to a draft format, it's just a pain. And you have to click off of that because there's no refreshing. It'll refresh back to the changes you made. So I did notice that before I changed over to this newer one. I'm still not convinced that this newer lister is the most optimal, only because if I'm typing in, let's say an item specific, and let's say it's not on the list that they provided, I type in the first letter, just typing the name, and it'll stop me from typing. And maybe there's one on their list that has the same letter, and that's why it's stopping me from finishing that word. And it's just annoying. And and if I go into their photo editor and try to maybe brighten up the photo, it spins like you're talking about. So until they fix those bugs, I'm not 100% sold on it. It's just I'm not going back to the old editor or old lister, because at some point this is what's going to be. We're going to be required to use this newer lister, and I just want to get as fast with it as I can. Little Unique Shop says, I had no sales for 6 days. I ended all my listings, sold similar on all, got 2 sales now. Okay. And that's good that you're doing something rather than just sitting back and kind of doing nothing and expecting something to change. You're going in and you're being proactive. If after a couple days you're not getting sales, you're trying to relist your items, going in, changing your titles, changing something. And you always want to look at your traffic too. Check your traffic to see if your traffic's up or down. If your traffic's down, there's something wrong with your listing. Let's see. Kyle B says, I waited it out. I think people are waiting for taxes, paying taxes. And yeah, this is the time of year where people are going to start getting their refund checks, their income tax refunds. So that's going to be helpful as well. That's why historically it's always a decent time to sell, between now and I'd say June, when the summer slowdown usually hits most niches. Finn's fan says, eBay won't make that claim for a Super Bowl commercial. They'll just jack up our fees and pay for that Super Bowl slot. Yeah, I just think they're running out of things to fee us on. That's why they're they'll have a new promoted listings, whatever, here in a few months to pay for it. Poshmark and Engrailed etc have done well with celebrity drops. That's an idea. That's certainly an idea, to put something on the homepage like that for eBay. eBay needs to step it up and use Poshmark and Mercari policy of actually charging the buyer's card after an offer is accepted. I know they're working on it. They claim that sometime this year they're going to have that all ironed out. And they even made mention last year that auctions were going to be, handled that way as well. To me, it's, if you're agreeing, they already got the buyer to say, you commit to buying this item, right? So they click on commit to buying the item. Why can't they back it up with their credit card information? Just doesn't make sense to me. Do you have a video about pallets for beginners? I have lots of videos about pallets, about buying liquidation pallets. Go check out my channel, my videos. I should have about 2 or 3 that I've done over the years. Not much has changed, in my opinion, in the liquidation game, except for 2 things. The quality of merchandise just isn't what it was 2, 3 years ago. And of course, with the higher gas prices, if you're having things shipped to you, the cost of shipping freight has gone up quite a bit if you're shipping one pallet. But go check out that after the video here, and go check out my other videos. When I check my listings, I see watchers on dozens of listings, but eBay keeps selecting the same 10 to 15 for me to send offers to. Is there a solution you found to this? No, I just keep sending the offers. And, I realize for every 10, maybe every 10 offers I send, I'll get 1 response back. And Kent says, way too many hands on your package. Not mine, but we're talking about Ed's package, the FedEx package. He's in Henderson. I don't do liquidation. I love thrift stores. So you're finding some good deals in those thrift stores. I've been to a few, but maybe I need to add that to my game a little bit. I have bought in the past like some old DVD players, and like one in particular I sat on for quite some time before I even sold it for, I think I bought it for like $10 at a Goodwill, sold it for like 25, plus the cost of shipping. And the fact that it tied up so much space, I had to go and get it and search for it. It just didn't seem like it was worth my time. Okay. Let's see. Only reason why I use Mercari labels is because of the Mercari seller protection. If anything goes wrong, they'll have your back. So yeah, generally I like to use the pirate ship labels, even if it's Mercari, because it's a lot cheaper for the buyer, and I can pass that savings on to them. Ricardo says, let's show John some love. Give the broadcast a thumbs up. That's all about the algorithm. Thank you. Please hit that like button, guys. If you are still here watching, we have 74 people. Wow. Watching this. We're creeping up on an hour. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up here in a little bit. I'll take another couple questions, but I wanted to keep this at an hour. But thanks, Ricardo, for reminding everyone for me. No liquidations for me either. My place is too much of a hoarder episode as it is. Plus, I'll have to handle stuff before I buy usually. And that's the thing, to be able to touch the item. You can't do that with most liquidation. And even with liquidation, you can go and pick up, the stuff's going to be probably shrink wrapped anyway on a pallet. So, you have to just do a lot of evaluation of the state of packaging that item's in. That's no guarantee. I've seen stuff, swap outs are usually found in pristine boxes, retail boxes, but I'd say 20 to 25% of the stuff you're going to buy in a liquidation pallet are not going to work, or going to be unsellable. Then you look for ways you can maybe part it out and make something out of it. But yeah, it can definitely, if you're buying something at a yard sale or a thrift store, you can, control how many items you're going to be able to store that way. You might go in and buy stuff until you've found the 20 items that you're looking for. Another thing though, with buying at a yard sale or even at, say, your Goodwill, you can ask them to plug the item in and you can see if it powers on, but there's no guarantee that item's going to work. That DVD player might eat tapes for all you know, and it's a return waiting to happen. I prefer to sell vintage games like Connect 4, Hungry Hippos, Mousetrap, always on the hunt. I get some games that are games I've never heard of, and they usually sell from time to time. No one designs too late to the party. Well, party is almost done, but you can always go back and watch skip the first 2 minutes of this replay because we had an issue with the sound. I hit the mute button before this thing started. Wanda Greer says, I fill up the whole pic size where there is nothing left, the white background. This is causing search issues. I don't know if it would cause a search issue. No, I don't see why that would be a problem. It gives your potential buyer a close-up of what you're selling. I try to crop out a lot of the white background, to get as big of a close up on my listing that I can. If anyone has golf courses in their areas, check them out. Sometimes they will sell lost and found items that's been sitting for decent prices. That's definitely a good tip. One thing you can do, something I was doing for a while and I stopped doing it. Now that I mentioned in this video, everyone's going to do it, but is to go to your local like Dick's Sporting Goods, and people will buy like drivers or 3 woods hybrid clubs for golf, and they will fail to give them the head cover unless they ask for it. And at the end of the year, they'll have just bags of these brand new head covers. And I went in there to about 4 different Dick's Sporting Goods in the Southern California area. And I said to the manager, I said, look, I will buy each of these and you can get rid of them for $2 a piece. So they went back, I'd spend a couple $100 each trip, and then I bring them back and sell them for anywhere from $10 to $20 per head cover. And those things, that was pretty good. I went back to a couple and it wasn't as successful, and I started getting the liquidation, so I really stopped doing that. But that's kind of a tip. Maybe they're still doing that kind of thing, but it never hurts to ask, because those stores have tons of head covers that people don't claim. Just something that maybe you want to look into. Notice all the questions are about eBay. eBay is not the problem. Items, listing, quality, price, shipping is the problem. Right. And so a lot of times a seller will have their item priced too high. Sometimes I'm guilty of that. We're hopeful to get the item sold for what we've seen the item sell for in the comps. Now the comps could be like right now, I'm checking out something that, showing you results for the last 90 days, stuff that was sold before Christmas. Maybe it had a higher price and people were willing to pay for it at that time, that they're not necessarily willing to pay for it now. There's just, you always want to look at your listings. We talk about that on this channel a lot, but definitely those are the basics. Definitely right there. We're Pigs Fly Farm. We did over 400 sales this weekend. Nothing over 25 sold, all bread and butter. That's awesome. Awesome. And we have Primetime Treasure Hunter in the house. I don't have one of those fancy voice manipulators, but welcome to the program. I appreciate that. Enjoy watching your lives, and definitely he had Craigslist Hunter on his channel last week, and that was definitely a really good live. So welcome to the show. And Tommy says, Dom, you are everywhere. That's for sure. And then he says, that's because Dom is here. He brings all the boys to the yard. Primetime Mafia. And Ed's pass on the love. Thanks for the super chat. Thank you for everything. I appreciate your contributing to the channel, and thank you for just contributing your questions and helping others. That's awesome. I appreciate that. So we're kind of winding down to the end. I do have Kenji just found a dangerous loophole. If an empty envelope is returned under a case filed with the payment institution instead of eBay, seller is not protected. Yep. And in fact, I've heard that as well. I haven't been a victim of that, but just like with eBay, they look at that tracking information. That tracking information won't show you how heavy that envelope was or that item was that's being shipped back. It just shows tracking information, and that's all they count on. So sorry that you had to deal with that. I hate to say the phrase that people don't want me to say, it's the cost of doing business, but it's going to happen so infrequently. It's not going to be something that you're going to need to be worried about. I can say that trick hasn't happened to me. Now that I mentioned it, it's probably going to happen, but it doesn't happen often enough for you to stop selling. That's for sure. So we'll do one more. Hey, John, have you done expiration? John, have you done expiration item liquidation and how to manage that for sale? I don't want anything to do with expiration items. I actually had some Starbucks coffee, some of that brand new coffee I pulled in one of my videos, and it had I think a 2/5 expiration date. And I was planning on selling it by now. I had it priced pretty well, but I just got a thing from eBay saying they removed it because it was an expired item. Now, a lot of those Keurig coffees can last for a year beyond the expiration date. It just doesn't magically, become bad coffee after the expiration date. But nonetheless, they removed it. So I stay away from anything that involves something that can expire, which is, unless it's health and beauty, but I price it in such a way where while it's still within the expiration date, I can get that thing moved. So guys, I want to, thank you for supporting the channel, for being here. The 80 plus people we had, all of you guys are awesome. Just um, for me, putting out a video so late in the day and last minute, and you guys showing up is pretty awesome. And you guys motivate me to get out there and to just do another. I did 15 listings today. You guys motivate me to get out there and do another 15 more if I didn't have to be somewhere this evening. So want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out with me. And all this stuff we talked about today are all examples of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have a great start to your week. If you're not feeling it, get out there, list anyway. The money that you're going to make from the stuff that's sitting in your garage, your storage unit, wherever it may be, that finally makes a sale is going to make it all worth your while. Just trust me on that one. So guys, thanks again, and we will talk to you guys very soon.